Hi guys, welcome back to Tom Mods Things. Today we are working back on Project Saxo. Got a ton of stuff to get through today, so we've got various things. We've got new steering wheels, we've got suspension stuff all being replaced, we've got, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get the gearbox sorted, but a little bit more on that later in the video. And then we're going to get the rest of the body kit, front bumper, rear bumper, exhaust pipes all sorted, and getting it pretty much buttoned up, ready to get sent off for an MOT, which is mega exciting because that's going to be pretty sick. And as soon as we get that sort of back on the road, we can tear it around the town in the car again, even though it's not finished quite yet. Because obviously we need to get the bodywork finished and we need to get the colour on it, which is something that we're cracking on with in the background at the moment. So without further ado, let's crack on and get on with the first thing. Right, so those of you who remember, this was the interior of the Saxo project, looking fairly drab, needs uplifting, so we're going to do it piece by piece. So the bit that we're going to replace today is, oh, look at that bad boy. So pick this one up second hand off of another person's project, but I think you'll agree that this is a perfect addition to the Saxo build. So yeah, definitely going to be right in a good place when it goes into the car. We've also got ourselves a Saxo slash 106 Boss for that, so those two things married up together should get us to the point where this horrible thing is replaced. So what we're going to do is we're going to crack on with that now. So we've disconnected the battery first. Then the first thing to do is, underneath here is a little hole that you can add a little screwdriver or pin or something into it, and that'll effectively detach the airbag in the centre. So we're going to just crack on with that now. Alright, so there we go, airbag taken out. Just for reference, it was actually slightly different to how I remember it. It was two bolts, you can see there, one on the left, one on the right, taken out with a 4mm Allen key. Then what we're left with is detached airbag, the cable that attaches to that, which is this one here, and then this is the central spline bolt that you need to undo. What I tend to do is lock this in sort of place with a steering lock, kind of as straight as you can. Take some pictures just to reference it, because you're going to need to know this when you go to put your new wheel on, because ideally you want to kind of put it in the correct position as it sort of used to be on the OEM wheels, so that you don't have to do as much faffing around with sort of doing the suspension arms to do an alignment afterwards. Obviously it's recommended that you do an alignment after this sort of install anyway, just in case you were one or two splines out or whatever, and then you can kind of counter it by tweaking it back into position. So what we have got is a breaker bar with a don't know what size this is actually, so this is a 8 CRV sort of Allen key end on this, so that fits into the bolt that's there. So what we need to do now is effectively lock this into position and then undo that central nut, which will allow us to take the wheel off. Right, and then top tip when doing this, as you can see, we've wound that nut kind of out, and we're taking it out, and then what you do is you wind it in sort of 3 to 4 threads, so that when you go to try and pull on this steering wheel, you don't twat yourself in the face with it. Yeah, you can ask me how I know that from a previous experience. Right, so now all it is to yank on this until it comes free. Right, and then once that's done, this is what you are left with, which is the spline, and the slip ring in the centre, which obviously gives power to the airbag and anything else that's on the steering wheel on any other modern cars, so that it's constantly got power and data going to it. So now we've got this spline, so got our little bolt sitting down here. So now what we'll do is we'll take the Boss from the Boss kit over here, just going to line that up, obviously top, and then get that roughly sort of in position based on where the bolts for the wheel are going to need to go, and then start to test fit all of that to make sure that it all lines up correctly. Right, and then that is the Boss kit on. One thing that's worth noting with this is to spin the little slip ring around the other side, and then if we try and get this to sort of focus in, then what we've got is the little indicator auto sort of stop. Just position this in the same position on this left hand side as the little slip ring was previously, because obviously this is where you will deactivate your signals depending on if you're turning left or right. Right, and then for Saxo the 106, it's really easy with this. You don't have to worry about the horn in the centre because the horn is actually over here on the stalk, just on that left-hand side, which means that there's no other power or anything that needs to be going into the centre. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this up with that and start to put in the bolts that are needed. Right, and there we have it. So, all fully buttoned up. I think you'll agree that that looks way better than the original one. We may end up changing this at a later date, but for the moment I think it's perfect and nice and cheap, which is the main thing. So yeah, I think that basically concludes that area. We've still got the shrouds to go back on, but we're fiddling around with changing dash lights and stuff, so we've left them off for the moment, but as soon as those go on, it cleans it all up. I think what we'll probably do is this surround around here and all of this stuff around here we'll also do in silver, so that this all kind of matches in with the steering wheel and stuff. But yes, bang on, looks well good. Right, so moving on to something that we've been investigating, and it was in the last video, was effectively to do with the fuel filler neck, and what looked like a hole in it, basically, from where what kind of I assume is the tyre was rubbing on it, caused it to rust, kind of went through it, and then sort of it seemed to be a fairly big hole. I think we've kind of got to the bottom of it. So we've been working away basically wire brush, just trying to remove as much crud as possible, and obviously it's made the hole a bit bigger. But what it has unveiled, whatever, is that it looks like this is actually just a protection plate that's been stuck over the top, like bonded in place. So I'm not sure whether it's actually leaking or not. I always found it sort of a little bit confusing when we found this on the last video, because I couldn't smell sort of fuel anywhere. So what I think has probably happened is these wheels have rubbed through the plastic filler neck, and so what they've done is effectively, from what I can see on the back here, is blobbed a shitload of sealant kind of all over this, and then kind of bent this metal plate and then just kind of like stuck it to it to kind of like seal it back up. So yeah, so that's kind of what I think we're dealing with at the moment. Now, unsure what to do with this. I can either attempt to pull all this off and then uncover potentially more hassle at the moment, or could kind of grind all this back until it's kind of bare metal, treat it like I've done with the rest of the stuff, and then effectively just sort of fill this back in again. Not really sure which way to go at the moment, so I think this is going to be a job that I'm just going to leave and just know that it's something that's going to require work at some point. There's a few things like that on the car where it's like, it's not like end of the world situation right now. There are definitely more pressing things to get sorted, but it's definitely worthwhile knowing, because yeah, obviously we've got a fair few bits to kind of get sorted on that, and then there's a few bits as well to go around and finish up as well. But what I can show you is the underside of the back of the car now, because that has had its last coat, and now we're just going around cleaning up some of the other sort of parts of it. Alright, and I'll do my best to kind of show you what's going on under here, but yes, all the boot floor and stuff looking way better than it was. So I think you'll agree that is looking pretty damn good compared to what it was previously. There's a few areas where I think at some stage we'll probably rework and do a little bit more on it, but for the moment that has come up surprisingly well. And then we've got a few mounts and bits and bobs down the back that we're just going to brush back, and then we're just going to coat with some protective coating, but didn't really want to do that right now because it looks okay, and we'll get around to that because we'll have to get the bolts off, because we don't want to paint over threads, because that's stupid. So yeah, that's what's happening with the rear. So I think, yeah, definitely looking a lot better. Right, next up on the things to do now that we've done the steering wheel is we're going to start removing some of these interior pieces so that we can get them off to get prepped and then painted and then pop back in the car. So we're going to start with the surround for the Speedo. So we're just going to get that out. I think it's just one bolt at the top, and then the clips and stuff all undo, and then it just sort of slides straight out. So we'll crack on with that, and I'll catch up with you once it's out. Alright, so what a faff that was. It turned out that I actually needed to take the wheel back off, pull the indicator stalks forward so that I could get access to those two little silver ones at the bottom there, which were hidden little tabs underneath here. But we've got it out, so we're going to scuff this up, and then we're going to start to apply some paint to it. Right, and this is the first silver trim piece all finished up, coated, and we're just going to go and chuck that in the car. Right, and there we go, guys. Steering wheel is on, along with the surround that we've just coloured in. We're going to do the rest of this now, but run out of time as per usual. But yeah, I think you'll agree that this looks pretty sick, to be fair. I was pleasantly surprised how well this seems to fit within the overall aesthetic of the car. Now, one thing that we were testing is what was going on with the gearbox side of things. So if we just grab the keys, so obviously it's up in the air at the moment. There's no weight on the wheels, and then what we found was that you could effectively put it into gear. So we just get inside here now. So while we're in here, you can chuck it in all the gears, no problems. Whereas before, what you'd find is when you were trying to go into first, you'd get to about here and it would just lock, wouldn't actually engage into gear. So what we're sort of thought we'd test is effectively by getting the car on and start it up, and then if we just chuck that into gear, and then if we then go outside, what we should find is that wheels are turning. So not turning. What we're doing at the moment, so done a couple of bits in the interim. So we have changed the oil, banging. The stuff that came out was pretty grimy, to be fair. Proper black, really thick. Definitely not what you want from your engine oil. So anyway, so that was definitely well overdue for a change. So we've done that. We've done the oil filter as well. Now we are cracking on to, hopefully, fingers crossed, what we need to effectively fix this gearbox. So what I'll do is I'm going to grunt and get down on my back, and I'm going to crawl under this car, and I'll show you what we're dealing with. Right, guys, so welcome to the underside of a Citroen Saxo. So as we can see under here, and apologies, but I'll do my best to light everything up. But yeah, in essence, this is the underside of the car. Not looking too bad, to be honest. We've done a bit of tidying up on various bits, but yeah, not too bad, looking pretty good. But the thing we're looking at today is this little bad boy over here. So this is the lower gearbox mount, a transmission mount, whatever you want to call it. And what we're thinking, fingers crossed, because in essence what I showed on the previous video was that you can jack this up as it is at the moment off no load on the front axles, and you can get it in first gear, which is something that you can't do when it's on the ground. So just sort of working through various things, thinking, well, maybe the gearbox is shifting slightly because maybe the bushes are completely gone, and that's what's basically causing the linkages not to be able to sort of engage first gear. So we took a look under here, and hopefully we can start to see, but this bush, the rubber part in the middle, is completely split. So this definitely needs replacing anyway. This may well be the fix for the gearbox. It also might not be, but regardless, it needs to be changed because this is minging. So we've already got the bolt out that goes in between here. This is the bit that's here, and we've managed to break off this bolt, and then there's another one. You can just see it up in there. So it's basically 3 bolts. This one holds it onto this sort of rear arm piece. These two mount it onto the transmission. So we've loosened these up, so we're going to whip them off, and then we've got this lovely new mount to go in its place. So yeah, pretty cheap, bought off Amazon, eBay. So anyway, hopefully that's all right. But yeah, so we're going to crack on, we're going to get this one off, and we're going to fit this new one, and fingers crossed that will fix our issue. I mean, if it does, it's a crazy fix, because it would have been about 12 quid to fix this, well, in essence, to fix the reason this car was off the road in the first place, which is just nuts. But yeah, so all coming together. So I'm just going to, excuse me, crack on with that now, and I will show you, pick up. Right, so underneath, this is what we've got now. So as you can see, bracket is no longer there, and looking up into here, that we've done a little bit of a clean-up, but we were just looking at the sort of gear linkages. So that's what these 3 little sort of thin parts are. So we've got these 2 down here, and then there's another one just here, I think. Can't really see around there, I'm kind of looking through the camera. And then we've kind of got the link that goes all the way back to where the gear stick is. So we were just kind of looking at these and moving them around, and so we were basically working out where first gear was. So if I just move this back into position, okay, so that's now in neutral, and so in essence, it was across to the right, and then it would be across the right and back like that. So that is now in first gear. So the one that we're kind of looking at is this second one up, just this one here. That seems to be the main one, and so it had loads of grease and crap all in it. So what we've done is we've gone through and started to clean out a lot of it. As you can see, it's looking a little bit cleaner. And then I think what we're going to do, we can't see that any of them are like bent at all. They're a little bit loose, I would say, potentially, like they click around a little bit. So whether that's going to be a problem, I'm not too sure. I mean, they don't come off or anything, but again, not an expert on this, so we're just going to go with what we can kind of find. But this one definitely was a lot more sort of fused and stuck together, which could well be part of our issue. But then also this mount, as we do this and sort of shift the gearbox up and down, because the lower mount is missing, it does move these around a little bit as well, up and down. So again, that could well be the issue. But what we're going to do while we're under here, and we've got kind of a little bit of access, is we're going to finish cleaning these up. Then we're going to apply a load of grease over the top of them, just hopefully to make them move a little excuse me, a bit easier. And then we'll do the same for this one here, because this seems to be like the main sort of ball that sits in there, that allows all of this sort of movement and stuff. So we'll grease this one up as well to make sure that that is all good. And then fingers crossed, we put it all back on the ground with the new mount, and then happy days, we are sorted. And apologies for the camera work going on here. It's a little bit difficult when you're shuffling around underneath a car in a garage, because you don't have a lift. Oh, the dream would be a lift, so I don't have to do this anymore. But anyway, we can still sort of daydream about that at some point. So gonna get the new mount on, catch you guys in a sec. Right, and there we go, guys. New mount all nicely in and buttoned up. To say, just reversal, 2 bolts, 2 bolts here with washers, and then a bolt that runs all the way through here with a little nut on the other side. These are 18mm. That was 16mm. This one's a little bit more of a pig, mainly because you've got to get this nut kind of in between here and where the mounting hardware is for the exhaust. So you have to go bolt in from this side, kind of line the nut up, do it a couple of threads, and then you can get a spanner in there and then literally just do it up from this side. But yeah, hopefully that kind of holds everything in place. We've applied our grease to our gear linkages, so fingers crossed that works. We're going to tidy up all of the crap that's under here now, pull it all out and just make sure that we can shift all the gears correctly, and then yeah, then we're kind of on our way. Right, and then just to update you, as you can see, we're doing a bit of work on the fronts. We've sorted out all the mounting and got new hardware and stuff all sorted for that. So this is all looking nice, as you can see, all the way down here, all the way up here, all looking good. Engine bays all been spruced up. I've got all the mounting and bits and bobs off of this front bumper, so this is kind of ready to mount on there now. And then last thing that we're doing at the moment is just getting some of these anti-roll bar links in. As you can see, cut the old one off, but a lovely bolt just sort of sitting there. So currently little one's asleep, so I'm not going to get an angle grinder out, because I just fancy living, and you definitely don't if you've got a baby and you get an angle grinder out. So we can show this side where we've got that kind of all mounted up, all the new sort of steering links, just generally tidied everything up. Brakes still looking a bit grim. I think we'll probably replace them. This is annoying really, because there's loads and loads of meat left on them, but we'll definitely be painting the calipers, and then it's just whether or not we bother replacing the discs. I think we probably will, to be honest, because I can't be asked to sand them. I suppose what we could do is we could stick it in gear and then just sort of run it, and then just get a bit of like whatever and just mount it up against it, just to kind of resurface the front of them. But I don't know, we'll see. And then yeah, just to show you what that old mount looked like, it's absolutely covered in crud, but as you can see there's a big split all the way through, and then there's the same on the kind of other side as well. As you can see, there are quite a few splits all the way through. So this was well overdue getting replaced, and it could well be the bringer of all our gearbox problems. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking for a box at the moment, but anyway, we'll go and find a box and we'll go and chuck this in the bin, because I'm overflowing a bit over there, and then we'll crack on with the next thing. See you in a sec. Right, and actually thinking what we can do now, I think I've pretty much finished with everything underneath now that we've done that sort of gearbox mount and stuff. So we might actually get the front bumper all fully mounted on the car, because we've kind of got new hardware for our corner pieces, left and right, for mounting in here at the fenders. We've also got our new hardware that runs across the front. Then the only thing that we're probably going to need to remanipulate are these kind of bottom plates, because yeah, as you can clearly see, they've been slightly misshapen over the course of this being dismantled or left and abandoned anyway. So obviously this was all split as well, so that's kind of where that's come from. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to whip out the bits of hardware here, we're going to line the bumper back up, and then we're going to see how close we get with these bottom brackets, and then see what we need to do. It'd be pretty cool to have the front back on this. So I'll catch you guys in a sec. Right, so there we go, front bumper back on the car. Bonnet, we've managed to actually get to lock, because there's a few things that are kind of stopping that at the moment, because we need to make some adjustments. Now, it's okay, but we've kind of got edges that we can tie in a little bit further. But as we kind of come around to this point here where the fender, we've got this huge gap. Now, there's a little bit that we can do to kind of get this sort of a little bit closer, but as you can see, I'm still always going to be able to fit a finger in there, which I'm not too keen on. So I'm not sure what's happened. I'm thinking maybe the bracket might have flexed slightly, because obviously, as we see here, even if we say bent these brackets at the bottom, which as you can see aren't near where they need to be, we're still going to have quite a big gap around this bit. I'm not 100% keen on that, to be honest. So there's a few things that we can do. I think we can either space this bit out to effectively raise this bumper up towards this level, which is kind of my first sort of thought, to be honest. Effectively redoing the bracket that's underneath to try and make it work. Other than that, I don't think there's a huge amount else we can do apart from maybe manipulating some of the pieces around here to kind of get this a little bit closer. I think if we manage to kind of force these two things together, that might be acceptable. But as you can see, this centre bit is definitely not going to be acceptable, and there's not anything that we can do apart from, I mean, yeah, 3-finger gap ain't gonna happen. So yeah, we're gonna just have a mess around with this now and see if we can get this to be just a little bit closer, and then we will go from there. Alright guys, and there we go. So we got it back outside again. Thought we would try our little gearbox mount fix. It now still won't go into first gear, so it's definitely not that. So I've got to move on to kind of the next bits. So that's either going to be changing the linkages. I mean, it's a bit of a weird one really, where it'll put itself into first and stuff when it's off the ground. As soon as it goes on to the ground, for whatever reason, it just won't go into first gear. So yeah, slightly annoying, but hey ho. I'm sure we can kind of try and hopefully work out what exactly is going on. But as you can see, we've made a start on some of the sort of major bits of bodywork. But yeah, seeing it back outside again is definitely pretty sick. This car is going to be mega when it's parked up next to the 106 once we're fully done with it. Yeah, and then really happy with the few like little small bits on the interior at the moment. Got to get the new seats in, which are sat over here at the moment. So yeah, we're just waiting to find some mounts for these. But yeah, if you imagine sort of these seats in that, I think yeah, you'll agree they'll be right at home in there. But yeah, car is mega, looks well good. It's going to be pretty sick once this is all together and in its potentially new colour and graphic scheme. But we're going to sort of have that as a bit of a surprise to me and also you guys as well, because I'm not actually going to know kind of what's going on. I'm just giving, I think, full reign over to Andy at Rapper Masters to kind of do whatever he wants with this. I know he's pretty excited about the prospect of being given sort of full reign on a car, especially one that's kind of as mad as this. So yeah, that's pretty exciting and could be pretty good fun. So yeah, so basically what we've established is yeah, it's going to need a little bit more work than just replacing a lower gearbox mount, unfortunately. However, I'm pretty sure for an MOT you don't necessarily need all the gears working, as long as it can get on and off a ramp, which in theory it can do, based on it's got every gear apart from first. We might be able to sort of wiggle it through and then get the gearbox replaced after that. Or if we can find a gearbox and it's not too much faff for me to do, we can get that swapped over and sorted pretty early on. So there we go, guys. Back in the house because yeah, as per usual, days just keep on flying around and stuff when you've got other stuff that you need to be getting on with as well. So yeah, so where we left it was the Saxo. We'd done all the gearbox mounts. We've done all the oil and fluids, filters, that sort of stuff. So from a maintenance point of view, that was all sorted. We also changed the steering wheel, started to paint all the surrounds on the inside, which looked pretty sick, to be fair. And then we got it back down on the ground and out the garage so that we could take a look at kind of the next phases, which is kind of getting all the bodywork and stuff all sorted out. It's pretty close now for getting sent in for an MOT. The only thing that we're looking for is a windscreen. So I've got Pug Bits at the moment who found the windscreen for the 106. They are on the lookout trying to find me a new Saxo / 106 because I think they share the same screen, but a new windscreen for that because the one that we've got has got a massive crack all the way through it, and there's no hiding that or getting around it for an MOT. It just needs to be replaced. So hopefully, fingers crossed, pretty soon they'll come back with a new screen, and then we can chuck that in, and then we can get it all booked in for an MOT. Fingers crossed it passes because yeah, as I say, we've gone through and replaced everything that needed to be done from sort of suspension bushes, that sort of thing, making sure that everything that is required is kind of working and can be kind of ticked off the list, which is great. And people that follow the Instagram would have seen that we took the 106 out to a local meet recently, which was awesome. Went down an absolute treat. Everyone loves that sort of stuff. I mean, even if you're not a fan of the era, just stupidity of the creativity of the car is enough to put a smile on people's faces. So that was really good to see. And then stuff coming up. So we've got, so this will be going out the week of. So this weekend basically is Plus 44 show, which is based over in Corsham, so it's only around the corner from me really as well. So the car got, the 106 should I say, got accepted into the sort of Maguire's lawn area, which I think is kind of like the prestige area I've been told and stuff, so which is pretty awesome to be fair. Pretty happy that that happened, so fingers crossed it doesn't throw any wobblies and stuff, and we managed to get it there. But I'm sure being local and stuff, I can rope in a few people to push us over the line if we really needed to. So yeah, so there'll be a lot of content from that hopefully. We'll do a lot of filming and we'll get a video up of that show to kind of show you guys that maybe weren't able to make it, what the show's all about, and then maybe we'll see you there next year. But I remember from previous years when we were there in the Porsche, it was pretty sick, to be fair. So going there in the Peugeot is going to be pretty awesome, to be honest. Even if it's not fully complete, the interior, we still need to get the subwoofers and stuff sorted. But it's good enough, I would say, for where we are. And it's always nice to show the stupidity around. I think there's a few of us Max Power boys at that show this weekend, so that'll be pretty sick to catch up with some fellow nutters. So anyway, cheers everyone for watching this video. Stay tuned for more content. As I say, the Saxo will be going in for MOT soon, and then it means that we can just sort of run it around, which will be pretty sick. Maybe I'll start dailying it to work and trading the Tiguan. And then yeah, and then we've basically got a month really to get bodywork and stuff finished before we need to hand it over to Andy, and then I won't see it for probably 2-3 weeks while he's doing his magic, and then we'll do sort of an unveiling. I don't know whether we'll put that on video or we might actually do the full unveiling at the Max Power reunion show. Haven't quite decided yet. I know we did a similar thing for the 106, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, stay tuned and take it easy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you later.